Hello, I'm Steve Haywood and I live in Buckingham. I take you back to last autumn when I happened to come down to mow the lawn and I saw it going very brown. I wasn't too concerned at first because I thought it was just a dry spell we were having and it was lack of water. I began watering it, but unfortunately it had no effect. So I then decided to have it scarified and I rang Lawn Science, who I've been using for 7 years. Now the owner Terry is very good. As I say, I've been using him for 7 years. He's done me some wonderful work over that period of time and my first instinct was to ring him. He came along, promptly I might say, and took one look at the lawn and realised it wasn't drought conditions, it was far more serious. He took a piece, he bent down and lifted a piece of lawn and rolled the whole lawn back like a carpet. I was absolutely staggered, I was gobsmacked. And then he pointed to what should have been the soil underneath. What was there? Literally hundreds of thousands of leather jackets, chafer grubs as they are called. He pointed this out to me, he said, look, you've got a serious problem here. You've got chafer grubs or leather jackets. It's a very rare condition, but it happens. And you've been very unlucky. He said, we've got a big problem on our hands now. So I said, well, I'm in your hands, as usual. What do I do? He said, well, I'll get my team over and we'll have a look at this. He continued to roll back the affected area, and because by this time it had got to the end of September, early October, there wasn't a great deal he could do because winter was coming on. But nevertheless, I had complete faith in him and I realised that it didn't matter over the winter time to me anyway, but I must have it right for the spring and summer. And he realised this, being a professional. And he treated the lawn and he had to leave it for the entire winter. I was happy with that. Although the lawn looked a mess, it didn't matter, it was winter time. However, when spring eventually came, without any prompting, I didn't have to contact him, he contacted me and said, look, the time is coming now when we ought to have a look at your lawn. And I said, fine. And he came over with his team, looked at the lawn and started to treat it. Well, the first thing was a treatment, and then he had to replace soil, which had just gone. One morning I woke up, a lorry at the door with 2 tons of soil. Now the point is, his men had told me the day before that they would come at 8 o'clock. The lorry would be there at 8 o'clock. And that happened, on the dot. Needn't look at the clock. If these guys say they're going to come at a certain time, they're there. And that's what I like about them. And they spent the next 3 or 4 hours replacing the soil. Incidentally, I also had another problem. When I first met Terry 7 years ago, it was because I had a huge tree, an acacia tree at the bottom of the lawn. And that tree had grown very large. It had started off in a plant pot and we replaced it into a bigger plant pot, then into a bigger plant pot, and eventually we couldn't find a plant pot big enough for it and it ended up in the garden. That tree overtook, it continued growing and it eventually overtook the bottom of my lawn, providing a huge shaded area. The lawn didn't look too good and I decided to have the thing cut down. What did I do? I didn't know of Terry at that time, but I discovered him. The best day's work I did. He came over, he sent 3 men, and they spent 2 days cutting the tree down and taking away the roots. He then treated the area and it was absolutely fine. And I realised then that I had hit the jackpot as far as a lawn expert was concerned. What he doesn't know about lawns is not worth knowing about, I'll tell you this. However, because this had happened 7 years ago, over that period of time, the lawn had dropped, as it does. Dig a hole, fill it in, and of course it drops. So it left a big dent in the lawn. So I asked Terry, look, while you're treating the chafer grubs and repairing the lawn for this, can you also do the hole further down? They filled that in, no problem at all, no hesitation. That was done, a repair there. They then continued to treat the lawn, and I was very happy. And over a period of 6-8 weeks, they kept coming back, retreating the lawn. The time came to reseed it. That was done, and now I have a more or less, in point of fact, I have a lawn now better than I had this time last year. So I'm not grumbling at that. All I can say is, if you have problems, not just with a lawn, but with your garden itself, Terry is the man. Ring Lawn Science. Believe you me, it's well worthwhile. You won't regret it.